It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show.
Welcome to the best show you'll ever know, the Dep Lewis Show, episode 81. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is Saturday, June 15th, 2024. A great day for a podcast about video games and much more. So welcome to the show. Hope you're doing great out there in the world. Hope it's been a good week since I last talked to you here on the microphone. And we're coming at you a little bit early this week because we got some hot video game news for you. We had the Xbox, what do they call it? Xbox Game Showcase. So I'm going to tell you all about that in the midsection of the show this week, and it's going to be a great podcast for you today. That's the plan. So welcome. Let's get down to some business early on to help me out a little more than just listening. Please follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Like, subscribe, rate, comment, review. Turn on notifications, tell a friend. Email any questions or feedback to DepLewisShow@gmail.com. The full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, Patreon, and more. Clips are on YouTube and TikTok. Twitch.tv/DepLewisShow is a great place to follow. And then Patreon.com/DepLewisShow is the ultimate place to follow. And there you can gain access to exclusive content such as the Dep Lewis Freestyle Show. And I will tell you more about this at the end. So for today, we're going to have it's going to be a great episode, but it's going to be a normal episode. We're going to have 3 sections as always. The first section will be what video games I've been playing since I last talked to you on the microphone. And I have a couple different things to talk to you about there. And I've made some progress on one of the year of the RPG games, so that's good news. And the midsection of the show this week, we're going to talk about all sorts of video game news. So I'm going to start you off with a release and then a game, an expansion coming out next week I want to remind you about. And then we're going to get all into the Xbox Game Showcase. So that's going to be the main meat, as they say on the Fire Escape podcast. It's going to be the main meat of the midsection will be the Xbox Game Showcase. So a whole lot to talk about there. And I'm going to say it was a pretty good showcase. So definitely some pretty positive things to talk about in that midsection. And then let's see. And so after the video games, we have the final section of the show, the miscellaneous talk section number 3. And that is where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. So this week, we're just going to get into the worldwide world of sports. And so mainly going to focus on my favorite baseball team in the University, Atlanta Braves. So, now you know what's going on, you know what to expect. And now we're just going to get into all the great content. So that's the plan here. So the last thing I want to say, I don't know what happened overnight, but the podcast on Buzzsprout, which is the podcast hosting platform that I pay for to release the show to all the different platforms, I had 52 downloads according to them last night, or 52 downloads in the last 7 days. So those are pretty unseen numbers for my podcast. So I really appreciate it. I don't know in particular what's causing this. It seems like it's over the course of some past episodes. So people are listening to past episodes. So I really appreciate that. And just hopefully they will want to come back and listen to some more. So just want to, send my appreciation out there for all the recent listens and any listen that has ever been given to the show in general. Thank you. So let's get into it and hopefully provide another great show for you to listen to. So what have I been playing? So what video games have I been playing? This is a look into what I've been into over the past week. And I've been playing some Final Fantasy VII Remake. So that's the main RPG game that I'm playing right now in honor of the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. So I'm playing this and I'm going to want to move on to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth next, which is the new release from this year. So as far as Final Fantasy VII Remake, I think I'm around 30 hours. I've completed Chapter 16, so that is the latest bit of news that I have to report to you. I did this early in the week and I climbed up all those Shin rebuilding floors and we rescued, well, I don't know if I want to say. Well, spoilers are okay. Everybody knows this stuff already. I rescued Aerith and got to meet Red 13. And Red 13 pretty much immediately goes to the top of the list of favorite characters from this game. He is so cool. I didn't expect him to be like he's kind of like a calm and wise presence and really cool looking as well. I love some dogs out here. It's one of my things I like out in the world a whole lot. I love some dogs, and Red 13 is one of the coolest video game dogs I've ever seen. And even when he gets called a rat, he's like, I do not appreciate that. So he even keeps it cool then. So Red 13's been really, really cool. He's rolling around with me now, rolling around with Aerith. We're trying to get out, and I'm going to pick up the pace on some Final Fantasy VII Remake. I only have 2 chapters there to complete, and I'm going to be able to move on to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which I am super excited about. And that's going to be in top consideration for Game of the Year since I haven't played a whole lot of new games this year. So I've been hitting the backlog pretty good for this year. So Final Fantasy VII Remake, still holding it down for the year of the RPG, and I'll tell you a little bit of a year of the RPG update in a few here. But the other game that I've been into, I think I mentioned this last week, but I'm back playing some Stardew Valley. I think I'm around maybe 6 hours in on this new playthrough. So Stardew Valley is the infamous and wonderful farming sim that has come out, and pretty much everybody knows about Stardew Valley. So go play this game if you want a relaxing game. I've been it's a lot like Animal Crossing if you're an Animal Crossing fan, and it's just a really, really fun game. It's very relaxing, and I've been taking it just real easy in this game. Just kind of playing it like I guess I would in normal life. Just planting some stuff and trying to make some money off of it and buying some new seeds and learning some stuff about the world. So the things I've learned so far that I guess I've learned previously, but it's been a while since I played this. So spring was 28 days, I believe was the case. So I lost a lot of money there at the end of spring with some crops that were growing and about to spawn, so I could get some cash from it. But spring, I was about to say spring sprung, but summer came through and killed my crop. So I had to just scythe them away and find some new find some new seeds to plant. And I was down on my money, so I've been basically re-upping all my money back into my crop. So I got stuck there at the end. I got stuck on the re-up at the end of spring, so that was not good. But still, overall, I think I've made 15 grand in that game, and I'm only holding 200 gold right now. So I have some seeds saved up for next spring, and I have some things planted for summer right now. So I'm really trying to get it together and become a successful farmer out here on these Stardew Valley streets. So let's see, what else has been going on? There was an earthquake. I think I've seen that before, but it announced there was an earthquake overnight, and I couldn't really notice anything too different in the town. So I'm sure there's something there. There has to be something, but I haven't noticed it yet. I've mainly been focusing on the farming and going into the city to buy seeds, and then joining the town for the different festivals that go on, and doing some exploring, but mainly just sticking to the farming loop right now, trying to get my money up. That's what I've been doing on the Stardew Valley. And what else has been going on? There's a lot of charm in this game, a lot of quirk, a lot of great characters. The mayor has lost his shorts. I have to find those. He doesn't want me to tell anyone. Now I'm on here on this podcast telling everyone about the mayor walking shortless. If our mayor can't find his shorts, how's he leading our town? But I don't know. Maybe he's just worried about the bigger issues than where his shorts are. But it's pretty funny. Who knows what he was doing out there in the woods or wherever his shorts have been lost. But I guess I'm going to find out at some point. So I've been playing the Stardew Valley. I'm playing this on Switch. I've been playing handheld. I've been sitting outside and playing it some. So living the Nintendo Switch dream, the one they sold you when the console came out. So it's been really fun. So Stardew Valley, amazing game. That is not breaking news, but I'm back playing that. It's in my current rotation, and I think it'll continue. So we will see. So something else that I picked up. So I'm back a little bit on the Xbox side of things, and I'm playing some Gears of War 4. So that's a shot out of left field coming in for me. I've been on the year of the RPG. Last year was the year of survival horror. I've mainly been playing, I just haven't played Gears in a long time, man. I'm a pretty big Gears fan. I've beaten Gears 1, 2, and 3. I've beaten some of them multiple times. Gears of War 1 was an amazing release back when I was younger. I can definitely remember those times as a highlight of some of my video gaming over my whole life. So I'm a pretty big Gears fan. Played some co-op, and that was the pretty big thing early on when they came out, was playing them co-op with some friends of the show, great friends of the show, Pab, playing some Gears of War with him back in the day. Great fun time. So now moving on, I think that really sold the series for me early on, and then once I got into Gears 4 and Gears 5, which are out now, are a new chapter of the franchise. So there's still a lot of connections in there, but just, it seems like it is a new chapter in the franchise, so just something different. So Gears of War 4 is a 2016, so this game's been out for a little while. A third-person shooter developed by the Coalition and published by Microsoft Studios for Windows and Xbox One. So this is the fourth main installment in the Gears of War series and the first mainline entry not to be developed by Epic Games. So this one, there's Gears of War Judgment is the other game in the series. I think that came after 3. Or maybe it came after 2, but I'm not really sure. I think I played some of Judgment, but I've definitely completed 1, 2, and 3. And I played some of 4 before, and I think I'm almost up to the point in 4 that I've seen already, which is, I think it's Act 3. Yeah, I believe it's Act 3 that I'm into, so I think I'm really getting close to the area that I've never seen, so that's pretty exciting, and I've been having fun playing through the first area too. I haven't played a shooter in a long time, and Gears of War is an amazing shooter. It feels good to get back in there. It feels good to be getting those headshots again. I'm really using the Lancer, and then for the other gun, I'm using the MK. I think it's like a 380. It's like a single shot kind of powerful rifle thing that's really cool. And then rolling around with the pistol, which is I guess that's a common thing I've done in games a long time, rolling with my pistol, because I don't want to use all my other ammo. And so I start with the pistol and see what kind of damage I can do, and then move on to the heavier artillery. So Gears of War 4 has been really fun. I have a plan with this to complete this, and then I want to play Gears of War 5. So my current Game Pass subscription runs out at the end of July, so hopefully I can complete those 2 before then. That's a little bit of a soft deadline, but I think both of these games are relatively inexpensive these days, haven't been out for a while, and we're going to talk some more about Gears of War in the midsection, which has inspired this playthrough of these games that, I should these are kind of like backlog things I should complete. And I think I need to get together a list of that. I'm not the best at sticking to these lists I make, but they're fun to think of and look at sometimes. So this is a little bit in that vein of backlog games that I do want to get to. I have a million backlog games. Some of them I'm never going to touch again. Some of them I'll come around to and play, and they could end up being some of my favorite games, kind of like I'm doing with Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I think that's just the way it goes as being a video gamer, and as you get older and as the video game industry goes on, there's so many games and so many ways to play older games. It's just there's really all sorts of endless choices is kind of what I'm saying. So I don't know what other franchises I'll get into, but it would be fun to think of some like key backlog things that I really would like to get to. And then they come along naturally too, like some announcements we're going to talk about might inspire you to play a game. So, we're going to get into that in a little bit. So that's what I've been playing, some Gears of War 4. I'm going to continue on that. I think I'll continue playing all 3 of these games right now for a little bit. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Stardew Valley, and Gears of War 4. This is the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. I think I'm changing up the projections there for what I'm trying to do. I'm paring it down a little bit. Since we're getting halfway through the year, I think I need to slow my roll with how much I'm trying to tackle in this year. Since it's just a kind of a year to focus on a genre and try to play those games and put a little more focus on them than I normally would. So that's all it really is. It's not like a completion fest. So the first thing I'm trying to complete is Final Fantasy VII Remake, and then I want to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So that is my main goal right now with the RPGs and the year of the RPG. And I'm really loving Final Fantasy VII Remake a whole lot. I think it's one of my favorite games I've played. So the other one I'm trying to complete is Super Mario RPG, which I have notoriously to myself, and I guess a few people out there listening, that I've been stuck in that game, and I finally got over that hump recently. So I made some progress, but I haven't made too much progress beyond that. So I'm trying to beat Super Mario RPG before moving into Paper Mario, the Thousand Year Door Remake. So those are both 2 games I'm trying to get to from this year. I already own both of them, which is nice, and they're just waiting for me to play them. And that is some motivation to get through these games. So that's the plan for the year of the RPG. And if I have more time in the year, I'll add some stuff back into this list. But I really need to focus on these few things, or I might not even get those done. So that's the plan for the year of the RPG. And it's been fun. I think I've kind of through this year, I'm noticing I really do like the RPGs. I think it's one of my leading genres right now for gaming. And then getting back into Gears of War 4 is nice to get back into a genre I really liked a while back, that I haven't liked in a while, which is some shooting games. So it's just fun. It's, you're going to have ebbs and flows, I guess, over the course of your video gaming history, but it's nice to maybe I have a new basis of games I like to play, maybe in the RPG genre, and then I'll play a few shooters here and there. So I think it probably would have been the opposite way, probably back in 2007 or something like that, around the Halo time. So just cool. And that's what I'm kind of tracking here on this section. So you get to see what I'm into and how they're changing and what's going on with me. So that's what's going on in this first section. I've been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, Stardew Valley, Gears of War 4, and it is the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. So we're going to take the first break, and then we're going to come back for the midsection of the show, which is what's going on around the video game world, around the video game landscape and the universe. So as I mentioned before, I have 2 kind of release things I want to talk about, and then we're going to get all into the Xbox Game Showcase. That's going to be the main source of information for this midsection. And I'm going to tell you about all the cool things from that show, and you really don't want to miss it, because these are some of the best times of the year, besides like actual big releases, these big announcements and things like that and showcases. They're really, really fun to talk about, see some games, and you can get my opinion on them, and I'll just kind of give overall general opinions as well. So, listen to this music and come back for the midsection of Dep Lewis Show, episode 81, in just a few. Welcome back to the midsection of the best show you'll ever know, the Dep Lewis Show, episode 81. This is where I tell you about everything going on around the video game world that you need to know. So that's what I'm here to do. So the first 2 things I want to tell you about are some releases. This first game is out now, so if you're listening in real time, you can go purchase this if you would like to. And we talked about this last week a little more in depth, I believe. And that is Shin Megami Tensei 5, and it's called Vengeance. That is the new iteration of Shin Megami Tensei 5. So this is available now, released on June 14th, 2024 for $59.99 US. And in this game, you can embark on this definitive version of the critically acclaimed Shin Megami Tensei 5, massively expanded with a brand new storyline featuring new locations, demons, and choices to make that will dictate the fate of all existence. So This game has gone multi-platform. I don't know if the original SMT5 was multi-platform. I know it was on Switch. That's the one I owned it on. I don't know if it came to the other platforms in the interim before this Vengeance, but something to think about. And if this is the first time on other platforms, that's a pretty exciting thing too. So this seems like a good package. I think Vengeance is the way they'll probably recommend that you play this, but you can also play the normal way in this game too. So there's like two storylines, I guess, or two ways you can play this in this package. So I think that's a cool thing, and it is available right now. So Shin Megami Tensei 5 is the mother brand of the Persona series. So if you like Persona and that's something you're into, you might want to dive back into some SMT5. And I think this is a good release in it, and go be I think it's the Nohobino, really cool character, but that is out right now. So wanted to tell you about that. And the other thing I want to tell you about that comes out in the upcoming week that is something a lot of people are excited about is the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree expansion. So this will release on June 21st, 2024. It's $39.99 US. This is an expansion featuring an all-new story set in the Land of Shadow, imbued with mystery, perilous dungeons, new enemies, and items. And I looked up that imbued means to inspire or permeate with. So they're saying it permeates with mystery, which I definitely think is a great way to describe Elden Ring. And there's definitely some recommendations on where you want to be in the base game before playing this expansion. I think you can access the expansion whenever you like to, but I think you'll be getting owned if you go in there really underleveled. So I would say look out for some of that stuff online first. There's some good recommendations. There's a particular boss at least you want to beat, I think. So don't quote me on that, but I've seen a lot of people playing Elden Ring, sharpening up their skills before this. So it's a pretty exciting time for one of the best games that's come out in a long time, Elden Ring. Really, really awesome game. So Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree expansion coming out in the upcoming week, and that is June 21st, 2024. So if you don't know, now you know. All right, so the main thing that we came here to talk about today in this midsection is the Xbox Game Showcase. So this took place at the beginning of last week, so June 9th, 2024. It actually was last Sunday. So this happened right after I recorded the podcast pretty much. I decided it would be good to break up the information since there's a whole lot of it, and we're just going to get into Xbox today. That's the highlight of the show. So this happened last Sunday at 1 p.m. It was followed by the Black Ops 6 Direct, which they gave some more information on Call of Duty Black Ops. So we're going to talk about all of that. Their showcase was around an hour and 47 minutes in length. There's definitely some great outlets that you can go watch talk over this if you want to watch somebody talk over the actual show, which I like to do with myself. So I watched MinMax do this. So MinMax with 2 N's, please go check them out. They're a great video game channel and content provider and podcast network and all that kind of stuff. A really great outlet. And there's other ones to watch as well. But we're going to go over all the games that were talked about. And, well, not all the games, but most of the games that I found interesting or things I would be interested in or think a lot of people would be. And then there's also more in this, you want to go watch these things for yourself, I would say. I think this podcast, the Dep Lewis Show, is a great way to get information, but you might like something I don't like. You might be interested in something I don't like, and I just think it's a good recommendation to watch these shows. I think they're really fun. I think it does help to watch people talk over it. I think that's good because they can give you some perspective on it as well, but just really, really cool information. So let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Fable. So the Playground Games give us some sneak peeks. This has been the first solid look at gameplay, and footage is focused on Humphrey, a retired hero, as he warns us about what it takes to make it in this magical world. So, and they've told us that this will release in 2025. It's going to come to Xbox Game Pass day one, Xbox Series X and S and PC. So Fable is definitely a franchise that I really like from back in the day. I think I completed Fable 1 and 2. I don't think I've ever completed Fable 3. And I think maybe I did complete Fable 2 twice, but some really great games from, when I was younger, and I really, really love these. So I'll be excited to check this out. I have a little bit of apprehension on thinking how good it will be, but since it's been a long time since we've seen him, we no longer have the Peter Molyneux influence. But I think there were some cool things shown here. There was a little bit of gameplay, nothing too crazy, but it did give you a good snapshot of what it's going to look like. I guess it's around Albion again, and I'm excited for some Fable. That's one of my most anticipated Xbox games right now for sure, and really cool thing. So Fable, definitely something. And Playground Games, that's the one that they do the racing games, I believe. So I love some Forza, and if that's the same crew of people, that's a crazy mismatch, but I don't know. I guess that's the case, and I could be really off base there, but that is just something I was thinking about and meant to look up. All right, so let's talk about some more games from the Xbox Game Showcase. Perfect Dark. They gave a long look at what the team at The Initiative and Crystal Dynamics have been up to, This was an extended look at gameplay that shows Agent Dark as she sneaks over and around city streets while taking out enemies with style. There's no release date that they announced, or even window, but they did say this will be available on Xbox Game Pass day one. So Perfect Dark is a series that I definitely have missed out on in the past. It's part of that Rare collection, so I do own it in that, the old prior version, but it's just something I never played. I think I was too busy playing GoldenEye, and I think that has been the comparison I've heard for most people talking about Perfect Dark after the case was it's a shooter like GoldenEye using gadgets and things like that. And this gameplay that was shown for the new Perfect Dark looks very, very cool. So it was immediately hype inducing for me and something that I really upped my radar on looking for Perfect Dark, where I don't know if I would have before. So, excellent job to them. This looks really cool. It has some parkour elements, some cool shooting elements, some cool platforming. And if they can get some cool like sci-fi spy stuff around there, I think, it's a pretty great chance of being a great game. So Perfect Dark looking very cool and a part of this Xbox game showcase we're talking about. So we're going to keep moving on. We got a lot of games to talk about. I want to tell you a little bit about all of them. That's kind of the plan, or a little bit about most of them. That's the plan. So the next one is a game that I was talking about in the first section, a franchise, and that's Gears of War. So we got an announcement for Gears of War E-Day. So they could have gone with the Gears of War 6, but they are deciding to go E-Day because they are going back. This is a prequel. They're going to show us what actually happened on E-Day. So even playing some Gears of War 4, there's a lot of references so far to E-Day, flashbacks to E-Day. In the other games, there's lots of talk about E-Day. So I think it's a pretty cool pivot. I think it's really smart. So they reveal a trailer. The reveal trailer unveils a prequel game. The developers Coalition. It's a prequel centered on a young Marcus Phoenix. So we get to see Marcus Phoenix with his hairline still. Familiar face returns, and there's no release date yet, but this will launch day one on Xbox Game Pass. I don't know if they said 2025 or not, but I think that would be really, really exciting. I don't know if they said that, so don't quote me. I wrote here no release date, so I think that is when they didn't, indicate anyway. But this was an announcement of the game. It's got me diving back into the Gears of War franchise, and I think it's cool that they are going back to a prequel. I think this is something that everyone in the Gears of War, if you know a little bit about Gears of War lore, you're going to probably know about at least the reference to E-Day. So I think it's a really good thing to bring back old fans and then teach new fans about, what this whole world is centered around. So really, really fun game. If you have a friend to play with, I think that's a huge plus too. And Gears of War is a great franchise. So Gears of War E-Day is firmly up there on most excited games for me coming out. And, hopefully it should be doable to complete the 4 and 5 before then. And if I don't, that's par for the course for me and my gaming habits. But I'm going to try my best. So Gears of War E-Day looking really cool. And what else do I want to say? I've heard that Gears of War 5 stopped on a pretty big cliffhanger, so I think some people were surprised they're going back to a prequel, but I guess they can, go back to that someday as well. And I think this is probably a smarter move business-wise of trying to get like a bigger audience instead of going down the path of the new iteration of Gears, maybe going back into the old franchise that can bring back some old fans and still have the chance to get new fans. So it seems like a pretty smart play in this case. So Gears of War E-Day, launching day one on Xbox Game Pass. A pretty good sales pitch there. All right, let's see. We got a ton of games to talk about. Like we really do. This was a pretty great showcase, I gotta say. I know Xbox has had some. Oh, that's something to talk about. Xbox has had a lot of layoffs, so there was been a lot of talk over podcast and social media and stuff about how they should address it. Some people saying, hey, this is they plan to have those layoffs right before this great show. And some of these things, or most of these things, or portions of these things are all probably true. And I think they both can be true at the same time. I think people getting laid off is bad, and we need to keep looking at that and thinking about it. But they can also be releasing some new games that are good, and we can still be excited about that. Or if the layoffs are too much for you to handle, then you can not be excited about any of this, not partake in it. But there are still people working at these companies that are trying to make these games, and I don't know. It's a really tough conversation, and you're not going to satisfy everybody, but you got to acknowledge that stuff is sad, and there's still games coming out, so we're talking about them. That's the plan. So let's see here. That's just a really short aside there into that. There's a lot of discourse around that going on, which is I think appropriate. But Metal Gear Solid Delta, another game that got shown off, Snake Eater. We've seen this before, and I'm very excited for this, but I think this was the best glimpse into this game that we've seen so far. So we get a few new clips of gameplay. Snake using his close quarter combat techniques, his CQC, and he has a fight against the helicopter. So no release date or anything, but the fidelity of this footage and seeing Snake looks really, really good. Their games look so crisp and have a great style, and just the technical aspects of it always look so good. And this one is is really, really showing that off, and I'm excited for this. And I think this is a day one purchase for me, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. But I don't know if I'll be purchasing on Xbox. Maybe a PlayStation purchase for me, but very, very cool and something you should definitely go check out. So the next game is Call of Duty Black Ops 6. It's revealing a post-Cold War era for the world. Series returning to the past is what they're touting. It launches for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox consoles later this year on October 25th, 2024. Everybody should know about some Call of Duty. I think this is a good year for them to put up a show, or put up a show up, or kind of, just, I think they need to prove something here. I don't think Call of Duty's been hot for a couple years. I don't even think I purchased last year's game. I don't know if I'm into first-person shooters anymore. I know some people are excited for the main story in this game, which I think has some merit to it, but I'm just kind of see. I think there's some validity to questioning this release before it comes out, but having some excitement. It seems like they're doing the right thing by Call of Duty and by what Call of Duty fans would want, but you never know. So Call of Duty Black Ops 6, that releases on October 25th, 2024. So another release, this is officially revealed by id Software, that is Doom: The Dark Ages. So this is a medieval take on the legendary first-person shooter franchise that is coming to PC and consoles later this year. I don't know, is that really true, 2024? That's pretty cool. First trailer showing off a chainsaw shield, some impressive gore mechanics, and a few new brutal weapons. So Doom, franchise I played some of, just a real minimum. I played that 2016 version that came out. I haven't played any Doom Eternal, but this really looks cool. I like the medieval vibe this one has. I like the shield combat. There is a gun that takes a skull and crushes it and shoots it out, and you can just see it all in real time. Some of the stuff I don't really like, and like some of the gore stuff I'm not just into. And I kind of like it sometimes, and sometimes I don't. Even in Gears of War, I found there was a setting in the menu to turn gore off, and I've been using that, and I think it's been helpful. Just enhances the experience a little bit for me, not seeing all that, and I think you can do that in these Doom games too. So that's something. I think I'm going to download one of these on Game Pass to see if that's possible, because it might help me want to play through some of these a little bit more and make it more palatable for my brain or whatever it is. But Doom: The Dark Ages showed off really well, and I think it's going to get a lot of fans that have not played Doom before into it, and then also it looks like it's staying true to Doom fans. So I think they're toting the line there very, very, very nicely. So Doom: The Dark Ages, I think it's coming out later this year in 2024. More games. State of Decay 3. There was a new trailer shown from developer Undead Labs. There was footage of the zombie survival game revealed. This is an entry that encourages players to look for signs of hope. Why can't I talk? I have a State of Decay in my podcasting right now, where players to look for signs of hope as waves of zombies swarm them and their friends. And there were new enemies shown. So I haven't played any State of Decay in the past, but this was a really, really cool looking trailer, and definitely imbued some interest from myself. I'm going to use that word again. I think that was hopefully used sort of correctly. All right, so State of Decay 3. All right, let's keep moving. Dragon Age: The Veilguard. So BioWare showed off the recently renamed video game. It was Dragon Age Dreadwolf before. I think I just talked about this recently on the show, but they have changed the name now. They have shown some of this off, and I've listened to some people who have played this, and it seems very cool. And the graphic style looks very neat. I think Dragon Age, I was trying to remember back what's been going on with Dragon Age. I think Dragon Age Inquisition was the last release, and I think people were kind of sour on that. I think Dragon Age Origins is considered the height of the franchise, and I definitely played some Dragon Age when it first came out. I never completed one of them, but that's not saying too much for me. But it's something I'm interested in. BioWare at the helm. I like some BioWare from the Mass Effect days and things like that, and hopefully it has a little bit of that vibe to it. So it shows a few familiar faces making a return. I wouldn't be able to say I can pick out Dragon Age characters, so I'm not going to be familiar to me, but this is something I would say firmly on my radar, probably, lower than the top tier, but I'm pretty excited for this and see what happens. There was a chance they could fumble the bag here. BioWare has, I think Brad Shoemaker was bringing it up on Nextlander this week that, are they going to release a fully functioning, completed game with this one? I think they've had a bad history. The last couple of releases are releasing some pretty, incomplete or unfinished or very, very unpolished games. So I think there is some, I can't get that phrase right, but they need to really come through with this one, I think, is what I'm trying to say. So Dragon Age: The Veilguard, and Brad also brought up that he thinks the Dreadwolf name is better than the Veilguard, and I kind of think so too, but Vinny was bringing up on the Nextlander podcast that maybe they were trying to not focus on the Dreadwolf character as much or not make him as big a part of this entry, and that they changed that recently, and that's why the name The Veilguard has been added in. So I think that's probably a pretty good hypothesis, so I just wanted to bring that up too. All right, more games. Fallout 76. Their big announcement is you will soon be able to play as their very own ghoul character, which fans have been asking for years apparently. And they have given an early 2025 release for the new content, but no firm date. So in about a year, it's something I was getting mad last week. I was like, man, a lot of these things are for 2025. But if you think about it, 2025 is only 6 months away. Not too crazy. It does seem like a wild thing just because, I don't know, the year's flying by, the time's flying by. It's like 2025 seems so far away, but it's going to be here in the blink of an eye. And, you know, I don't think it's too crazy to have these announcements. It seems a little bit silly to have a ghoul announcement, but there's no telling how much impact that's going to have on the game. But Fallout 76 has been really, really slow rolling. You know, this is some shade, obviously, but, you know, nothing too incredible shade. But, you know, they've been slow rolling the content out for that game for a long time. That game released in a very different state than what it's at now. So it's, you know, for better. I guess it's for better. But, you know, some people early on are going to feel burned by that and not go back and question it. And I think I'm a little bit in that category of like, I just kind of missed that boat at this point, and I don't know if I'm going to be jumping back on. But Fallout 76 seems like it's been doing some good things, and you can play as a ghoul in 2025. All right, something else that they showed off that this one could possibly get me to dive back into a game would be Starfield has announced or showed off a little more of the DLC Shattered Space. This is the first major expansion. The game has been out for nearly a year at this point. I think it came out last September. There are colorful new locations and story moments, and that was a pretty striking point of this, that it was very colorful and cool looking. The release date is sometime in 2024, but no specifics yet. And some new content for Starfield launching later the night of the showcase. So I think that was some type of update. I never looked up any information on that, but if you're a regular Starfield player, I'm assuming you saw some update later that night on the Xbox showcase. So hopefully some cool stuff there, or hopefully some good fixes or whatever it may be. But Starfield DLC Shattered Space definitely looking cool. I'm back on a little bit of Xbox side of things right now, playing some Gears. So maybe I will download this again and start poking around with some Starfield again. You know, who knows? But right now we got more games to talk about from the Xbox Game Showcase. That's what we're going through. Still have a whole lot of games to talk about, and I'm not even talking about all of them, so craziness. World of Warcraft, The War Within. There's been a release date trailer for the Blizzard Entertainment. This is the Blizzard Entertainment August 26, 2024 release. Some new atmospheric cinematics shown off as well. You know, you should know about World of Warcraft. It's been around for a long time, very successful, and this is a new expansion that I cannot pretend to tell you what's going on with Warcraft. I played some of it back in the day, mainly played a lot of Warcraft adjacent games like Hearthstone. So I played a lot of that, so I know some of the characters from playing Hearthstone, but I do not know too much about the World of Warcraft. But The War Within releases on August 26, 2024, so coming in pretty soon. Okay, something else. Another game. This one, I don't know where this first part of the name comes from, but Clair, Obscur, Expedition 33. And Expedition 33 is the part that was memorable to me in the title, but so Expedition 33 might be what you remember from seeing it too. But they had a trailer reveal, another 2025 launch. This is coming to Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Kepler and Sandfall Interactive's third-person adventure game. It's touting mind-bending locations and strange enemies. So just something, it looked pretty cool. Something to definitely have some interest in, and hopefully they can execute well on it. I think that's all what I want to say about most video games, but that one's called Clair, Obscur, Expedition 33. All right, something that I am excited for is called South of Midnight. They showed off some swamps and some combat. This is a stylized third-person title from the We Happy Few team that was announced last year. It features cutscenes with stop-motion-like movement, magical alligators and catfish. This is coming to Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Series X and S, and PC in 2025. So this is the character where you have this is the game where you have the characters talking with a big southern drawl. I think that was besides the visuals, I think the voice acting was one of the most striking and cool things from this. They were both very like southern acting, and I think they were doing a good job of talking like people would, you know, in modern life, not like video game life. So I think that was really impressive. And that between that and the visuals, I think this is worth trying out. And if they can get the combat down, I think I was listening to, I talk about their podcast a lot, but MinMax is a great one. They have a cool Summer Games Fest blog, and I guess they were talking about this too, but they mentioned that, she mentions that, I lost my train of thought, that the voice acting was so good. So I don't know where I was getting at with this, but let's see. The stop motion, that was, some people are saying that's a little bit different to look at, and I want to remember my point about this. Stylized, the voice acting, how true to life sounds, or it sounds like it's, really fitting the timepiece. I think that's part of it. Oh, well, I'm just going to move on past that. But looks really cool. South of Midnight. I think they developed some really other popular, critically acclaimed games too. So some good pedigree there, and something I need to look more into myself. So really, really cool. All right, so they showed off some Sea of Thieves. They showed off some content coming in Season 13. They update is adding content for July 25th, 2024. Hey, hold on one second. All right, I'm back. I was just trying to think about what I was wanting to say about South of Midnight. And I was thinking Janet Garcia was talking about how, I think she was saying, or I was kind of saying what she was saying, that the visuals look cool, the voice acting seems cool, and if the combat can be good, this should be a pretty smash success. So I think that's the last really question mark we have for South of Midnight, is how the combat is going to go. So I just wanted to get that point out. That was bothering me that I couldn't remember that. So we talked about South of Midnight, and then we got into Sea of Thieves a little bit. So they showed off some content coming in Season 13. This update is adding content on July 25th, 2024. So almost just a month away, a little over a month. Not too much info on what to expect, but does team a warship that can fire fireballs from the front. But does show a team, I guess it shows a warship that can fire fireballs from the front. So I'm not a Sea of Thieves player, but it's definitely a very popular franchise. And if you're getting content added to a game you love, I think that's a great thing. All right, so they showed off some Diablo 4. The Vessel of Hatred expansion gets a release date of October 8th, 2024. This was a very Diablo-esque CG trailer and visual show, and it was kind of hard to watch. It was very brutal. A lot of, just talking about not being a big fan of gore earlier. This is showing off some really, really extreme gore and scream and all sorts of stuff. So, watch this with some apprehension. I think I said apprehension twice this podcast, so who knows what's going on with that. But this was, I guess, definitely effective for a Diablo trailer, and memorable, and definitely has some cool visuals when she's riding away on the boat in the water. That looks nice, but and that in contrast to what was going on before is striking. And I think that's a little bit of the stuff that keeps me away from the Diablo visuals. Are very shocking. The actual game world looks pretty cool, and I like the medieval style of that, but those visuals are a little much for me, but I think it's exactly what the Diablo fans like. So definitely something worth watching. Go check that out. Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred expansion, October 8th, 2024. All right, the next game on the list to talk about from the Xbox Game Showcase is Winter Burrow. This is a survival game that puts players in the tiny clothes of a mouse who is trying their best after finding their childhood home destroyed. So a little bit tugging on everyone's heartstrings there with this mouse that is going through some of his saddest times and having to rebuild. So then it gets into a little bit of Stardew Valley-like stuff where you can craft, knit, bake, and meet new friends when this cozy adventure launches for Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Series X and S, and PC in early 2025. All right, next game that was shown, or next game I want to tell you about, is called Mixtape. This is a coming-of-age narrative from the team behind The Artful Escape at Beethoven and Dinosaur. They're touting a warm story that features music from artists like Devo, The Smashing Pumpkins, Lush, Roxy Music, Iggy Pop, The Banshees, Joy Division, and more. So definitely evoking a particular era and style with that I think was fitting the visuals really, really well. This launches for Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Series X and S, and PC in 2025. So I think this was a good. This one did a good job of selling the game. I think it did a really great job showing it off, and definitely sparked some interest in me. I don't know if it's something I would want to play or normally play, but definitely sparked some interest. All right, so we're going to keep going. Another really, really popular franchise has a new entry coming, and that is Life is Strange, and it's called Double Exposure. So Square Enix and Deck 9 Games revealed the next Life is Strange game. It will put the focus on protagonist that started it all, Max Caulfield. This grown-up version of the character fans know and love is still using her time-skipping powers, but this time she's accidentally thrown herself into a parallel universe. Players will use these abilities to solve the same murder across two timelines when the game launches on October 29th, 2024. So I've never played Life is Strange before. It definitely gives me like an adventure game vibe that's pretty scary, so I just don't know if those are two things I'm normally into. But I think this game did a very good job of selling the franchise to potentially get some new fans. I really like the visual style of it. It doesn't seem it seems a little more scary and psychological than straight like gore kind of horror stuff. So that was a little more maybe my speed, but it's still pretty scary, the psychological stuff. And I just don't know if I might be too much of a wuss to handle some of this stuff. But it looks very cool, and I think going back to an old character, seeing them all grown up, I think that's pretty cool too. I think a lot of people were excited and a little bit surprised by Max Caulfield coming back, but I guess they're trying to do a little bit of what the Gears of War E-Day is doing. I think that's a pretty smart strategy sometimes, and I think in this case it is as well. So Life is Strange Double Exposure launches on October 29th, 2024. So let's see here. I know we've been talking about a whole lot of games in this Xbox Game Showcase. So really, really solid show. It was an hour and 47 minutes in length, worth talking about. And let's see. Keep telling you how much. I'm going to tell you how much we have left here because there's a whole lot. So at least 5 more games to talk about. So you just want to keep your ears in tune. I know we're really putting them through a workout today. The next one is Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. It has a release date of November 29th, 2024. This was a trailer focused on the variety of vehicles players can pilot upon its release later this year. So really, really cool trailer showing off the different things you can fly, showing off some different jobs that you can do now. I think that's a new addition to this game, or different jobs, or there's more variety in jobs that you can do. So I think that's pretty cool, adding some more gameplay into the mix besides just the cool visuals and flying around and the technical stuff. I think it's giving you a little bit of objectives to do, which is nice. A little way to grind and whatever. Keep people around the Microsoft Flight Simulator. I am someone who's scared of flying, so I've only flown a few times in my life, and I am not like a younger person. So it's just I've flown out of necessity once. I've only flown twice, yeah. Once with like a family trip, and once out of kind of necessity, or something that was important to go do. So I don't know. It's tough. I think what I was thinking while watching this. Maybe I should play this. And I wonder if it's helped anybody get over their fear of flying. And I bet it has. I bet I could easily find that if I looked it up. But something to try out. I think it's cool. It looks cool. And people were saying they could fly and see their house or where they live. And I think that would be fun to see your area and how accurate it is. And I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I might want to try out some Flight Simulator at some point. All right, so next game, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So it shows off India and the Himalayas. Machine Game sneak peek mostly focuses on the cinematics this time around, but they do show off some whip-wielding first-person gameplay. No release date yet, but launching in 2024, allegedly. So I think this one's another game in the contest, kind of like let me get the name, South of Midnight, where the visuals look cool. They have a great Harrison Ford going on. The voice acting is spot on. Like what I was saying, the visuals look spot on. So if they can get the combat down, I think this one, there's some cause for concern here about how that whip is whipping around. So we will see how the gameplay can be. But I think they have the potential to have a good game here. But Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, I don't have a huge affinity for Indiana Jones one way or the other. So not really selling me too much there. So for me to like this, I'm really gonna need the gameplay to be pretty good. So I think that would be the ask from my perspective on Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Okay, let's see here. A few more games from the Xbox Game Showcase. This one's called Avowed. This is Obsidian's RPG with a lush fantasy world. Still no release date yet, but coming to Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Series X and S, and PC sometime in 2024. Alongside sweeping shots of bright locations filled with vibrant purples and blues, we can see fire and ice magic combat, traps, and a variety of enemy types. So I do think the visuals are pretty striking in this game and pretty interesting. So I think that's a pretty big highlight. I think Obsidian's pedigree is another good thing to put in here too. And I was realizing, I think it's Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds is the one that I was watching some YouTube videos saying that, hey, if you weren't really a huge fan of Starfield, you should go play some Outer Worlds. And I've played some Outer Worlds back in the day, but maybe you should give it another chance at this point in time. And, Obsidian is the developer that developed Fallout New Vegas. So, and some other ones too, some other great games as well. So I'm kind of getting at, I think they're a developer I like, and I should try to play some more of their games. And I could be missing out on some things I would really like. So Avowed, it's coming out sometime in 2024. That's the plan. And, they're showing off some more of it. All right, a game that a lot of people probably know about. I think we've talked about it on this show already, or on a previous episode, and that is Assassin's Creed Shadows. So the next entry in the Assassin's Creed franchise, which most people probably know a little bit about. This was a lengthy in-engine trailer, showed off many of the sights and sounds of this new era, while also highlighting some of its cutthroat combat. So this game's going to release on November 12th, 2024. It's going to have 2 protagonists, which I think is an interesting thing, so they're going to play a little bit differently. I do believe we talked about this on last week's episode. I looked up their names, and one's a little more like a sneaky person, and the other one's more go in there and fight. So I think that's going to be a really cool change. I think the setting in Japan is really nice and interesting, and something that Assassin's Creed fans have been clamoring for a long time. But that's a setting that's been, it's a little bit oversaturated at this point. We've had, there's Ghost of Tsushima. We've had Rise of the Ronin. I think there's probably some other ones. Sekiro, a little bit in that lane from a few years past. So there's been a lot of people trying to do this, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing because it's definitely a cool setting, but I don't know. I think you got to stand out a little bit, and we'll see what Assassin's Creed can do with it. I think that would probably be a lot of people's argument, or maybe my argument at Assassin's Creed, that it doesn't do a lot to stand out these days. And I think there could be some potential here for, there's potential for something good here, but there could be some potential for some pretty bland stuff here. Is the probably negative take on it, and maybe a more realistic one. I don't know, but I have some hope here. Assassin's Creed Shadows. I hope it could be a good game on November 12th, 2024. All right, one more game to talk about, and then we have one more announcement from the show. And that's going to wrap up the Xbox Game Showcase. So the last one they talked about the last one I'm going to tell you about is Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl. This is the first-person shooter survival project, project being created by GSC Game World, showing off some of the zones, sewers, and fields, and also showing off some of the friends and foes you will encounter. The environment is just as deadly as inhabitants, they are saying, and it has a release date of September 5th, 2024. So, pretty cool look at this. I don't know if I'm into the survival portion of a first-person shooter, but it definitely has a cool look to it. Definitely a pretty devastating, grim-looking kind of world, but showing some cool graphics and some cool abilities and shots and things like that. So definitely a cool-looking trailer for Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl. So the last thing I want to tell you about from the Xbox Game Showcase is not really about games. They announced some new consoles, or some new version of the current gen console. So nothing here that you're going to need to go out and get immediately for any type of upgrade. But if you don't have a console, they're putting some new options out there in the market, and I'm going to tell you about them. So there's 3 new SKUs. New hardware will be available to purchase before the end of the year is what they've said. So there's a new all-digital Xbox Series X, and its color is white. So it's 1 terabyte, and it's $449. So let me think here. This is all digital. So it's just like the console now, which you can get for $499, but it has a disc drive. So this one's $50 less without a disc drive, and it is a white color console. That's the differences there. Then they also have an all-digital Xbox Series S, a color white. It's going to have 1 terabyte, which is the update there. It's going to be $349.99 US. So the current Xbox Series S runs for $299 with only half a gig, with only 500 gigabytes. So this one's going to come out with a terabyte, which I think is good. That's going to be $50 more. So an all white Xbox Series S with a bigger hard drive. That's all that one is. A little bit more expensive. And then the final one they announced is a disc drive Xbox Series X Special Edition. So just like the Series X right now, but it has a different colorway on it. It looks very cool. But that is really the only change besides having a 2 terabyte hard drive. So I guess there's 2 updates there. A different look to it that you can't get besides the Special Edition. It's mainly black with some sparkles and then some green highlights. And then it has 2 terabytes of internal storage. Pretty cool there. But it has a pretty big price tag of $599. So $599 USDs. So they're adding some more SKUs in the market for their current gen, and they're going to be selling these for the holiday season as their plan. So, I don't know. I think it's okay to have these new SKUs come in. I don't think this is an earth-shattering announcement for anybody. If you haven't had a console, it's a good time to have these options. I mean, they are more expensive. So that is, a little bit different. I guess I don't get that. The all digital Xbox Series X, okay, it's $50 different. It's $50 cheaper than the current version. So that's something true. A lot of people do. I think digital games sell more. Or I'm pretty sure they sell more than physical games. So $50 discount. Don't have to worry about the disc drive there. Hey, that's something. So, and you get all the power of the Xbox Series X. So pretty cool. Xbox Game Showcase, pretty killer overall. We talked about a million games from that, so I'm just going to run down those. Let's see. Elden, at the Xbox Showcase, we talked about Fable, Perfect Dark, Gears of War E-Day, Metal Gear Solid, Delta Snake-Eater, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Doom: The Dark Ages, State of Decay 3, Dragon Age: The Veilguard, Fallout 76, Starfield DLC Shattered Space, World of Warcraft: The War Within, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, South of Midnight, Sea of Thieves, Diablo 4, Winter Burrow, Mixtape, Life is Strange Double Exposure, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Avowed, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl, and we talked about the new digital Xbox Series X and S consoles that were revealed. So a pretty awesome showcase from Xbox. Some pretty good news for them since they haven't been having a lot of good news recently, and that is a positive at least. So I think my most anticipated things would be Fable. Perfect Dark after that trailer I think would be definitely up there on my radar pretty high. Gears of War E-Day is probably going to be a day one play for me. Metal Gear Solid, Delta Snake-Eater, probably a day one play for me. Call of Duty Black Ops 6, that's definitely up there on the radar. And then Dragon Age, the Veilguard, definitely up there on the radar. Starfield DLC Shattered Space could get me to dip back into Starfield some. South of Midnight, definitely up there on the radar. And I think those are the main ones for me. Slight interest in Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Assassin's Creed Shadows kind of up there on my radar. So pretty good stuff from the Xbox Game Showcase. That's what I want to say. Great showcase from them. Way to go, Xbox, and go watch that show for yourself. They're really fun to watch, but hopefully I give you a good breakdown of it here and give you my spin on what I think's going on and cool. So that is the objective here on the midsection of the Dep Lewis Show, episode 81. So just a few more things to talk about here in the midsection news-wise. I know that's a whole lot of information, and I just want to tell you a little bit of more information. So after the Xbox Game Showcase, we had a Ubisoft Forward. That's been the last of the Summer Games Fest week showcases going on that we have on the schedule right now. So that took place on June 10th, 2024. It was at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. It was a 2-hour and 5-minute long video. I didn't actually watch this. Min-Max does a talk over if you're interested in that sort of thing. They showed off some Star Wars Outlaws. I don't think there was any new announcements here, but they went in depth on a few things that have been announced. So Star Wars Outlaws, they showed off some new gameplay. We see some space combat. They showed off an overview trailer as well, showcasing the cooperative dynamic between Kay and her companion Nyx, so the protagonist and her companion Nyx. We also get a look at the reputation system, where protagonist Kay gets unwanted attention from criminal syndicates depending on how she handles certain missions. So that's pretty cool. So Star Wars Outlaws. They showed off Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake. So I think this was a new announcement. It was heavily rumored, and I guess they finally announced it. This one's not coming out till 2026, so that definitely is a long way away. That's not a hip skip and a jump, or whatever that saying is away. But 2026, no footage shown, but we got the 2026 date at least for Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake. And Prince of Persia is pretty hot right now, so you think they'd want to maybe try to get that out the door a little bit sooner. But hey, I don't know too much about video game development. But the last thing they showed off in this Ubisoft Forward was Assassin's Creed Shadow, which we talked about from the Xbox Game Showcase, or Assassin's Creed Shadows. They do a gameplay deep dive showing off the game's dual protagonist structure. Maybe I didn't look this up last week. Maybe I'm thinking about this. Can switch between the samurai Yasuke and shinobi Naoi. I think that's how you pronounce that, Naoe. The samurai wanted to rush through the front gates on a mission, and the shinobi wanted to sneak along the rooftop. So, showing off that dual protagonist structure, which I think is cool. And Assassin's Creed Shadows, that one's coming out. What did we say earlier? It's coming out November 12th, 2024. So that was the Ubisoft Forward. Definitely, if you're into those, go check that out. And then the last thing, so those have been all the showcases from the summer. The last one we were waiting on is a Nintendo Direct. There were some rumors that we could get one last week, at the end of this week that just happened, but it didn't happen. So I think all signs are pointing to a Nintendo Direct next week. I think I don't know if Nintendo said there will be one in June, or if that came out in some type of investor call, but everyone's expecting a Nintendo Direct in June, and I think everyone's looking at next week. So hopefully I'll have that to talk about next week on the show, and I'll be very excited to do so, because a few question marks there with what Nintendo's going to show, and I am always interested in what Nintendo's going to show. And I'm sorry for that noise going on out there. This studio is not doing its job of suppressing the sound, but hey, we're going to keep rolling on. So that's going to wrap up the midsection of this show this week, the midsection where I tell you about all the video game news and happenings in the world. So we talked about a whole lot this week, so thank you for listening to all of that. Hopefully there was some good information in there and some good games you're interested in. We talked about Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance was available right now. And then we talked about the upcoming expansion for Elden Ring, which comes out on June 21st, 2024. So just keeping those in your brain. That's called Shadow of the Erdtree expansion. And then we got into the Xbox Game Showcase. So I told you about all the games I thought looked cool from that, and some games even. And I mean, there's a whole lot of games from that were interesting. So, very, very cool. And then we talked about the Ubisoft Forward a little bit. And then we talked about this speculation on the Nintendo Direct coming for next week. And hopefully we'll be back next week. Hopefully I'll be back next week telling you all about that. So that's been the midsection of Dep Lewis Show, episode 81. We're going to take a break. You're going to hear some music. And then we're going to come back for the final section of the show, which is the miscellaneous talk section. And we're just going to get into the worldwide world of sports today and give you some updates on all my favorite teams and what's going on with them. So, just thank you for listening to the video game portion of the Dep Lewis Show, episode 81. Please listen to this music and come back and listen to the final section after this. Welcome back to the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 81. This is the miscellaneous talk section where I can talk about anything I want to outside of the video game world. So, today I'm just going to get into the worldwide world of sports as I usually do and tell you about what's going on with all my favorite teams and just give you a quick update. So, not too much. Most of my teams are in the offseason right now. So, the Carolina Panthers, official NFL team of the show. I don't think I have any Carolina Panthers thoughts. Just getting ready for the season. Maybe thinking about doing some sports gambling on them. I think their wins are set at 5. I don't know if I would bet on that. I think actually maybe it's set at like 7 or something like that, but I need to look that up. Please gamble responsibly out there. And nothing going on with the Panthers, so not too many updates. They had showed a picture of J.C. Horn and Jadeveon Clowney, and it was talking about like Gamecocks, so I thought that was pretty cool. Or it said Carolinas, representing for the Carolinas. I think that's pretty cool, so a little bit of hope. Charlotte Hornets, a team I am a pseudo fan since I live in North Carolina now and can go to some of those games. They have the 6th pick in the upcoming draft. That's about all I have to report there. My favorite NBA team, the Atlanta Hawks, have the 1st pick in the upcoming NBA draft. We're waiting on the finals to wrap up. The Mavs won last night, so the Celtics were up 3-0, and the Mavs took a win last night. They blew out the Celtics last night. And Game 5 will be, Monday night? I think Game 5 is Monday night, so finals are still going on. I think everyone thinks the Celtics are going to win at this point, but the Mavs have won a game. No one's ever come back down 3-0 to win, but, you never know. Crazy things happen every day, and Luka can really, really ball out and take over. So we will see. They go back to Boston for next game, and that's going to be a really, really crucial one there. Everyone's trying to say, hey, Boston kind of let up on the gas and that they're going to get it done at home. Or they wanted to get it done at home. There's no way that's the case, but there could be a little bit of a psychological letting up on the gas that took place. And hopefully they'll go back home, have a lot of energy, and that's probably how it's going to go. But you never know. Luka could be a pretty big wild card, and so can Kyrie, and we'll see what the Mavs are going to do. But my Atlanta Hawks have the number 1 pick, kind of waiting on trades to happen there. I heard somebody say that they could see DeJounte and Trey getting traded, and they'll blow up the whole roster. And I don't know. I don't know what I think about any of it. I think you could sell me on most of it. I think it's just I'm too much of a fan. I would like it to work, and I think they've been very indecisive. But that's the Atlanta Hawks. That's my opinion on the Atlanta Hawks right now. But my favorite team in the universe, favorite sport in the universe, Atlanta Braves in the Major League Baseball. I'll tell you about what's been going on with them since last week. So last Sunday, they played the Nationals. The Braves lost 5-8, so pretty sad. They're getting worked by the Nationals, and Nationals don't have a good record, and the Braves should be beating them, but they've been a little bit feisty. And then the Braves started this week off. It's been very tough. It's been a week against the Orioles and the Rays. So the Braves lost to the Orioles in Baltimore on Tuesday and Wednesday. And the Braves won Thursday against the Orioles. And so they moved on to the Rays this weekend. They played the Rays last night, and they actually beat them 7-3. They had the bats going, which was pretty nice. And the sad news was Money Mike is injured. So Michael Harris, out there playing center field, gets hurt. And he is on the 10-day injured list already with a strained left hamstring. He's getting an MRI today, if you're listening in real time. So hopefully we're going to get an update on that. One thing I read on Twitter or some article real quick was, them putting him on the 10 days so quickly is a little bit of an indication that something serious, but how serious we don't know yet. But I don't know. The state of the Braves with their injuries is not good, and I think this was a non-contact injury. I don't remember the point in the game exactly it happened, but not good. We've been some people down. We had one, the outfield spot, left field spot was our main one we had to fill. We kind of filled it with a platoon, and that was, I wouldn't say it was a smashing success yet, but now we've had Ronald get injured in right, and we've had Money Mike get injured in center. So, our outfield is pretty decimated at this point. And we have some people, trying their best, but just not going according to plan right now this season. And it's some pretty tough contingencies going on. So a pretty tough time for the Braves, but, a pretty solid win. And it was nice to see the bats get going and show some firepower. And they really need to get the firepower going to back up the pitching that's been very good. So definitely some positives in Atlanta. No reason for concern. I think most Braves fans are probably down in the dumps a little bit. I don't think I'm down quite there yet. Some of these injuries are a little bit taxing on just being a fan and what's going on and, your expectations. But I think they have more than enough to get it done. And I think it's a good time to go streaking. Good time for them to go streaking. So they're going to play the Rays today in Atlanta at 4:10. If you're listening in real time. So that's only a couple hours away. So, going to listen to that, going to watch that today myself. And then they're playing the Rays tomorrow, Sunday at 1:35. And then next week, the Braves are moving on they're going to be in Atlanta and start the week against the Detroit Tigers for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then they're going to go up to New York to play the Yankees Friday through Sunday. So hopefully getting some wins against the Tigers and hopefully being competitive against the Yankees would be my ask there for the Atlanta Braves, my favorite team in the universe. So, get better to Money Mike and the rest of the guys, let's start balling really, really hard, balling outrageous. So that's going to wrap up the miscellaneous talk section of the show today. Just gave you a quick update on all my favorite sports teams, the Carolina Panthers, the Charlotte Hornets, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Atlanta Braves. So hopefully the Braves will get some wins against the Rays to close out the weekend. And then hopefully next week I'll be reporting back to you a lot of wins against the Tigers and a lot of wins against the Yankees. So just thank you for listening to the show. It's actually going to wrap up the whole thing. Let's see. I want to reiterate some promotional stuff from the beginning just to help me out even more than just listening. So please follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Like, subscribe, rate, comment, review, turn on notifications, tell a friend. Email any questions or feedback to DepLewisShow@gmail.com. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, Patreon, and more. Clips are on YouTube and TikTok. Twitch.tv/DepLewisShow is a great place to follow. And then Patreon.com/DepLewisShow is the ultimate place to follow. And right now, for $1 a month for the ground floor tier for the first 100 patrons, with this tier, you will gain access to an additional podcast exclusive to Patreon called the Dep Lewis Freestyle Show. This is the podcast without a plan. It has a freestyle schedule, but it's a great way to get additional content and support the show in general. After the first 100 patrons, the regular price for this tier will begin. Ground floor tier pricing will never change, and will gain access to all Dep Lewis Show Patreon content always. So that is a big thank you for the support. And just thank you for listening to the show as always. There is a slight chance I will not have an episode out next week. I am off this upcoming week from my normal job, so I'm not going to be working. I'm going to do a little bit of traveling, nothing too extensive, but going to be driving around some, and just don't know. I think I'll have, if there's a Nintendo Direct, I'll definitely be talking about that, but I just want to put that out there. There's a slight chance there might not be an episode, but I really hope to have an episode because it's one of my favorite things I do out here in the world. So just thank you for being a listener. I hope you have an excellent week out there in the world. I hope you have some time off work. That'd be nice. Hope you have something good happen to you. Hope you buy a new video game. Hope you have some fun. Hope you get to eat something good. Hope you find some money on the street. Hope you get a raise. I hope, I don't know, just hope all the best things happen for you. I really appreciate you listening to the show. And just come back next week for another episode of the Dep Lewis Show.